What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is me, Zello the Casual Card Gamer, and today we are going to be looking at a budget deck that I had quite a bit of fun with and was actually asked by someone in the game video that I used this deck in. Shout out to Gat Philip Pi or Philip P. Either way, they asked for a deck profile of the Genesis Witches that I use, so let's get straight into it. So of course, first things first, we can't have a deck without a starter. So we have Incipient Longtail. When wrote upon, draw a card. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 1 or greater, then you add a Quick Shield ticket to your hand. And that is it. And moving into the actual deck now, we run 4 of our main grade 3. We have White Rainbow Witch Pyrethra. So she has 2 abilities. The first one is Soul Blast 13. And until end of turn, all of your units with Witch or Sorcerer in their name get plus 10k, and your Vanguard gets plus 1 crit. It's a very fun ability once you're able to just sort of field spam everything, because the added clause to her ability is the cost for her ability is reduced by 1 for every Sorcerer or Witch that you call during the turn. And you can do that once per turn. Her second ability is also once per turn, and also from the Vanguard only. You counterblast 1 and return one of your rear guards with Sorcerer or Witch in their name to your hand from the field. And so that automatically gives you 2 calls for the price of 1 counterblast, and that means 11 Soul Blast for Pyrethra's main ability. I'll go into sort of the design philosophies of this deck as I'm going, but anyway, she is the main grade 3. Next, the backup grade 3 that we run, more the support. We always do want to ride Pyrethra, but our backup is Spiritualist Sorcerer Kroot. His ability is when he is placed on Vanguard or Rearguard, you soul charge 1 for every unit you have on the field. So you would get Pyrethra down to at least 12 Soul Blasts for that turn, and you would also soul charge a minimum 2 cards off of the 1 call. And then you can bounce Kroot with Pyrethra's second ability, call it again, soul charge another something, and then get your Soul Blast cost reduced again. So that is it for him. And the last grade 3 that we run, please bear with me. We run 2 copies of Holy Heavenly Dragon, Eonesis Dragon. Anisis Dragon. I don't know how to pronounce it. But the reason we run this isn't for its abilities at all. It's mainly for something else in the deck that I put in here as just as a force marker engine, because I had the space and I said, why not? But its abilities are, if you have 5 or more force markers on your Vanguard, then your back row center rearguard circle becomes an astral plane, and when placed on Vanguard or Rearguard, counterblast 1, search your deck for up to 1 astral deity and reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle your deck. If you put a card into your hand, get an imaginary gift force and place it on your Vanguard. And last but not least, on the Guardian Circle, when placed, discard an astral poet or an astral deity from your hand, and one of your units cannot be hit until the end of that battle. So it is sort of an extra perfect guard under very circumstantial circumstances. There are our grade 3s. So next, we run, in our grade 2s, we run 3 copies of Venus Witch Repler. So first ability, on place on Rearguard, is choose a card from your drop zone and put it into your soul. So that's plus 1 soul and minus 1 soul blast requirement for Pyrethra's ability. And her second ability is once per turn from Rearguard is when this unit attacks. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, you can counterblast 1, choose one of your units, and she gets all of the power and criticals of all the triggers revealed your drive checks that turn. Anyway, moving on, we run 3 copies of Witch of Ravens Chamomile. So from Soul, at the beginning of your battle phase, if you Soul Blasted at least 3 during the turn, you can call her from the soul. And her second ability is when she attacks, she gets plus 10,000 till the end of the battle, and at the end of the battle, you have to retire her. Now, the reason I run 3 and not 4. I'm actually kind of thinking of 2, but 3 feels like a good number, is because she cannot get the bonuses off of Pyrethra's ability because she activates that during the main phase, and Chamomile doesn't come out until the battle phase. If you have one in your hand, you can just regular call it, get the plus 10 off of her ability when she normally attacks, and then another plus 10 off Pyrethra's ability as well. But because that you would have to call her from your hand, you don't get the full value of putting something into your soul and then getting it out later. So there she is at 3. Next, we run 3 copies of White Phosphorus Sorcerer Revoluta. I know that he did just get reprinted in the clan collections, which are sitting right next to me, but I haven't changed out the common ones for the triple R foiling ones, and I kind of like the common ones. Sometimes, decks get a little too shiny. But anyway, when he is placed on Rearguard Counterblast 1, reveal 3 cards from the top of your deck, choose up to 1 from among them, add it to your hand, and put the rest into your soul. So really good ability in my opinion for a common card of all things. So that is it for him. And last but not least, we run 3 copies of our force marker generator. We have Arcturus of Fervent Will. So in the soul, she becomes a grade 4. And from Vanguard or Rearguard, when she is placed Counterblast 1, reveal an Astral Poet or Astral Deity from your hand, and then get an Imaginary Gift Force and put it on your Vanguard. And if Becrux of Stratification is in your soul, you draw a card. So we don't run Becrux of Stratification because the grade 1 witches that are available right now are really, really good. And I haven't edited the deck post Apple Witch Cider release, but I am planning to kind of tinker around with it before moving on to other things. But yes, so her main ability is to get us extra force markers on the field, especially early. If you ride her, you have Aeon and this dragon in your hand, you can get a gift marker right away, and that's always really fun. That is it for our grade 2s. Moving on to the grade 1s. First things first, my favorite witch of all in the entire deck. We have Witch of Frogs Melissa. So her ability is when she's placed from hand, you Soul Blast 3, and your opponent field literally turns into frogs. If your opponent has a full field and it's their perfect field, you drop this on them, and their entire field switches out with the same amount of cards from their top deck. So in formal language, when this unit is placed from hand, Soul Blast 3, your opponent looks at the same number of cards from the top of their deck as the same number of his or her rear guards, then calls them to rear guards with rear guards on them and shuffles their deck, and none of their on-call abilities activate off of these calls. So you disrupt their field and hopefully get a couple of triggers out of their deck, and you just kind of mess up their game plan, and I'm all for messing people's game plans up. So there she is at 4 copies. Next, we run 4 copies of Witch of Oranges Valencia. So when she is placed into the drop zone from your soul during your main phase, you can bind her, choose 2 cards from your drop zone, put 1 at the bottom of your deck and the other into your soul. And her second ability is at the end of the battle that she boosted, you can put the 2 units that are in her lane into your soul and draw a card. So a little bit of draw, a little bit of soul charge. Really, really nice. And then her ability when she is soul blasted is also really good too, because you kind of mitigate the soul loss. And so that is it for Valencia. And last but not least, we've run 4 copies of White Brush Witch Arctic. So on Vanguard or Rearguard, when she is placed, look at 2 cards to the top of your deck, put 1 into your soul and 1 at the top of your deck. So a little bit of OTT at the same time, and that's really nice. And once per turn from Rearguard, when your grade 3 or greater Vanguard attacks, one of your Vanguards and this unit gets plus 5k until the end of that turn. So just a little power boost. It's really nice. And that is it for our grade 1s. And last but not least, we have our triggers. So we run 4 copies of Cyber Tiger, 4 copies of Mercury of Gravitas, 4 copies of Goddess of Self-Sacrifice Kushinada, and 4 copies of IS the Fortress, so it's 8 crit, 4 draw, 4 heal. Nothing too out of the ordinary for the channel here. So yeah, that is it for the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and just a couple of things, I guess. One of the main things that I find myself running into is I either play for my Vanguard or I play for the field, meaning I either play for multiple attacks off of Chamomiles, or I get extra soul charge with Pyrethra, so that I'm able to activate more. I'm able to activate Melissas more frequently, because this is one of the more fun interactions that this deck has with the rest of the game. Basically, if your opponent has a full field, you literally rip 5 cards out of their deck and you just get them closer to decking out, which is always really fun. So that is it for this deck profile. Please let me know down in the comments what you guys think, and yeah, I'm always open to taking deck requests. I am not a master by any means of any clan, but I am always up to the challenge of learning a new deck, and I just love playing different decks. So let me know down in the comments what you guys want to see next, and I will see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I am Jello the Casual Card Gamer. Take care.